All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Distilling the West. I'm your host, Dan, joined by my co-host, Dave. How you doing over there, Dave?
I am doing well. I'm very excited about today's podcast. This is actually our second interview in a row focused on rum. That's awesome.
Yeah, we have second interview on rum, first interview out of Hawaii. And
Yes.
today I'm super excited to be joined by Robert Raymer. How you doing over there, Robert?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here with you guys and talk about rum.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So you're from Kōloa Distillery. You want to talk a little bit about, before we get into the Kōloa itself, your background and where you found yourself before you came to Kōloa.
Sure. So I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. Was fortunate to live a few different places throughout college and after that. So I attended Purdue University, where I was fortunate to be a student athlete. I was part of the baseball team there. And post college life, so I finished both my undergrad and my MBA while I was there,
Awesome.
and playing baseball, and um, didn't get drafted, but was fortunate to sign a professional contract as a free agent. So I started out my career in Evansville, Indiana, playing for the Otters down there, and was fortunate to play well there, and ultimately was signed by the San Francisco Giants organization. So it's pretty cool to be signed, by the hometown team.
That's awesome.
So I was able to do that for about 3 years, post college, and unfortunately, like so many people these days, an injury ended that
Oh,
career, that dream. Tore my shoulder completely apart, and
Ooh.
the surgery for that was about a 3 to 5% chance to come back baseball wise, but fortunately for me, 100% wise for everyday life. So I
okay.
can still go out and swing a golf club and do that, and
Awesome.
as my kids grow up, be able to play catch with them and do all those things. So um, came home back to the Bay Area after that. Very fortunate to have a few different business mentors in my life. Kind of sat down with them and figured out what was next. And now that my athletic career was over, and um, decided that I was going to go into enterprise software, as a lot of people do here in the Bay Area.
Of course.
So did that for a few years. Was fortunate to be part of an acquisition there. So I went from a small startup, was acquired by the German behemoth SAP.
Mm.
So got to see how that was run. Made the jump from there to another tech startup as like the first salesperson at that one. So I went from SAP to being employee number about 9 at this company. So
Cool.
um, got to experience that. Then, a couple years into that, I think um, the calling to come back to Kōloa Rum was strong. So getting to my Kōloa time, I actually interned there back in 2011.
Okay.
Um, don't tell my parents, but I just wanted to live in Hawaii for a summer that summer.
You complain it.
But ultimately, yeah, it was a fantastic experience for me, and loved it, and stayed around the company ever since then. To some extent, and I think it was 2018 when I fully made the jump back to Kōloa full time, and have been there since. And that leads us to today, where I'm our chief commercial officer, leading all of sales and marketing and partnerships and all of those things. So yeah, that's how we got here today.
That's cool. So for your internship, did you start in sales or another department kind of fall in love that way?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of everything, honestly. So back in 2011, so Kōloa Rum was founded in 2009,
Okay.
when we made our first bottle of rum.
Okay.
So 2011, we were making rum at an old jam and jelly factory there in Kalaheo. So when I did my internship, we were actually still making jams and jellies. So you'd come in on a Monday, it's like, oh, this is operations week, and oh, we're making jams and jellies today, not bottling rum today. So I was fortunate to have a little bit of everything at that point. So I got to see the operations. Got to head down. We have a fantastic tasting room and company store right near the airport in Lahui. So I spent a week there, learning that side of it. Right, we see 2 to 300 people a day come through that tasting room company store. Learning that side of it. Sat a lot with our CFO, learning finances. Right, running finances from a startup. So learning that piece. So yeah, I got to do a little bit of everything.
That's so cool.
So it was a lot of fun, and I mean, back in those days, we were still printing out rack cards and taking them to hotels and sticking them on the, concierge desk and those kind of things. So, old school, boots on the ground kind of sales piece of it too. So yeah, it was a really great experience. And I get to live in Hawaii.
So you went out to Kauai for this experience. Did you kind of continue that love affair with Kauai, or was it kind of like a foray out there and then got busy with other things and then came back to it?
Yeah, so my family actually has been going to living in Hawaii on Kauai for 35 years now.
Oh, wow.
So they spend my grandparents are fortunate to do the snowbird thing. They chose Hawaii and Chicago as the two that they do. A little different than most that do Chicago and Florida, but
Yep.
I'm fortunate that they have done that. So I've had a lot of experiences with Kauai, and
Nice.
just felt like it was always calling me back to an extent, and was fortunate to be in a position to make that jump full time back in 2018. And, when the opportunity arose, I jumped at it. So,
Nice. And so folks are kind of getting the lay of the land of Kauai. Lahui is usually where you fly into. And then you guys are just a little bit north of Poipu, right?
yeah. So most people when they fly in, you either go north or south.
Yeah.
So our distillery and is out west in Kalaheo. So it's yeah, it's
Right.
down that way, Poipu area. Yeah. So everyone's going to think of Princeville and those kind of things is generally what you think of in Kauai. But yeah, we're down the Poipu area down that way.
Well, we went out to Kauai in 2024 in the summer, and I was all geared up to come and see you guys. And unfortunately, like 2 days into my trip, I got sick. And so I thought I better not go spread my germs to more people than I already am. And wasn't exactly feeling the greatest to imbibe the spirits, but I'm so excited to have you on today, because definitely just one trip I fell in love, but I could only imagine, going for so long. Yeah, it's such a cool vibe out there. I think it's a lot different than kind of the main island. It's definitely a slower pace. Sorry, and I think we snorkeled 5 out of the 7 days we were there. I felt like a pickle when I was done, but yeah, no, I enjoyed my time so much so that we're definitely going to have to come back out and check it out for real on the ground for sure.
Yes, please do. Everyone says they're going to, so I want to hold you to it.
Okay,
So if
okay.
you do,
Well, hey,
we'll bring you out and
I'll have to go back to the wife and say, hey, Robert said we have to go back to Kauai. So,
perfect.
well, I love it. I love it. Well, we're still in our first round here.
Yeah, let's pour something up.
Let's pour something up here. Thank you for your generosity, Robert, in sending out samples. We're going to start with the Kauai coconut rum. Do you want to introduce the spirit a little bit here, Robert?
Sure. So this is one of our newer releases within the last couple of years, but it is a full 80 proof coconut rum, all natural. So when you look at it, if you have a next to a bottle of our white rum, you might see a bit of a green tinge to it.
Okay.
That's just coming from the coconut in there. But like I said, it's a all natural 80 proof. So it's can be the base of cocktails, which is nice. We spent a lot of time in the R&D phase developing this. So it's really smooth, really clean, sippable. So when you take the drink, you don't get that that heavy kind of filmy feel in your mouth. And it's completely different than anything else that you kind of had out there.
Yeah, just on the nose. Wow, this is a great coconut flavor. It's not like cloyingly sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't taste like an artificial coconut, like I'm not getting banana boat sunscreen or anything like that. This is great. It kind of reminds me of those fresh coconuts, the young coconuts that you get where you crack off the top of it
Yeah.
and you have that nice young tender flesh in there for sure.
Yeah, and to be honest, when I think of coconut rum, I think of, I mean, yeah, you know what I think of, college, mixing it with Coke, and that's it.
Yeah.
This is definitely not that. It actually smells and tastes like actual real coconut, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. I just took a sip there. This reminds me of, the Mexican popsicles, the coconut ones where you get
Oh,
the
okay.
the cream mixed with it. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of that sweetened condensed milk
Yeah.
with the coconut there. It's got a great flavor to it. Yeah, for sure.
And I would not have guessed this was 80 proof. This is sneaky dangerous.
Yeah, like I said, very
Yeah.
clean, very clean.
We hear that, I'd say a few times a day in our tasting room. People are shocked that you said this was 80 proof. It's a really nice spirit, for making drink. It's really versatile when it comes to making drinks, right? Obviously, your typical skinny pinas and
Yeah.
those kind of things. But we're very fortunate at Kōloa to have two mixologists on staff. One of them, before she joined us, she was crowned Kauai's best bartender. So we were fortunate to grab her when she became available for work. So having her on staff, Jen, and then David, who's our sales guy, over on Oahu, our state manager, they're both mixologists, mixology backgrounds, and they put together things that like I would have never thought of. Right? They were making like green tea matcha shots with this.
Ooh, yeah. Interesting.
This goes very well with our cacao rum that we also have our chocolate rum. To make those specialty like thin mint type shots.
Oh, interesting.
But it even mixes well with mezcal, right? So we have a Kōloa Oaxacan drink that we make with some jalapeno in there. But it just shows how versatile it is, even with being a coconut flavor.
Yeah.
So it's a close second as my favorite there of our rums.
Nice, nice.
Well, because you said that, I have to ask, what is your favorite?
Well, we'll get there. It's that
Okay.
coffee that's sitting in front of you.
All right, all right.
So I'm a big coffee fan.
Okay.
When we get there, I think you guys will also see why. But we've nailed it with all of our rums, but the coffee one just a little something extra for me.
Yeah, well, I was maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I was first introduced to you guys on the flight over to
Mhm.
Kauai, and we had I think that's part of your RTD line, the pineapple
Mhm.
passion fruit. That was delicious, and I said, okay, there's something here. I want to go check these guys out. That was a great primer, as you're
Yeah.
getting prepped on the
We've
flight
been
over.
very fortunate with Hawaiian Airlines since about 2012, that they have served. It started off as our rum punch. They've transitioned to our pineapple passion, but as a complimentary, get you ready, primed for the islands. Exactly what you just said. As they come up and down, and it's been great for us. The amount of people that say, "Oh, can I see that?" and take their phones out, take a picture real quick, and trying to figure out where they can get it right away. Is been so it's been a great partnership for both of us for geez, the last I guess 14 years now. So yeah, we're excited, and um, we have also been notified that Alaska will continue that now that they have acquired Hawaiian. They're going to continue that service. So
Nice.
we're nudging them to expand it to Alaskan flights too as they head out to the islands. So we're working on that now.
Very cool. And with that, my boss is a huge Raiders fan from
Mhm.
when he was a kid. You guys are also the official, is it official premium rum of Allegiant Stadium out in Vegas?
We are, yeah. So about 5 years ago, it was going to be the year of COVID. We were going to be year one of the partnership, but
Yeah.
we decided that being a partnership with no fans in the stand wasn't quite the right timing. But
Probably not.
um, yeah, so little ish known fact, they affectionately call Las Vegas the ninth island.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
the It's the number one destination that Hawaiians go visit when they take vacations, and also when they're moving, if they leave Hawaii, things like that. So there's a huge Hawaiian contingent out there, and um, it made a lot of sense for that reason. And then obviously Las Vegas being a tourist destination, people are going to come want to watch their team play, much to Mark Davis's chagrin. But it's the fans will get to experience it there, and they take it back, and it helps distribution going out east
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, people say, "Oh, Kōloa was great. Where can I get it? Can I get it here? Can I get it there?" And so yeah, it's been a really nice partnership for the last 5 years.
So is that something that was driven by you guys, or is that something they reached out to you for?
Yeah, it was I think they reached out to us, but I think we had been exploring, um, different partnerships, in different areas and sports and those kind of things, and, I think our CEO, Bob, got an email and, we were like, "Hey, you know what? This one makes a lot of sense here, so let's flesh it out," and fortunately, we were able to come to a deal and, um, being there since the first year that they were allowed to have fans in the stadium, has been really cool.
Yeah, that's huge. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I never knew that about Las Vegas.
And
Yeah.
do you mind if I go off on my little sports tangent?
Oh, yeah, do the sports thing.
So you are actually our third guest who has baseball experience and has played for teams. What was it? Pat Donovan up at Dry Fly.
Yep.
He was drafted, and then also Ken was it Ken?
Ken Miller.
Yep.
Yep, with the
He,
Distillarium out of Yakima, Washington.
yeah. So is there something that has to do with baseball and alcohol that kind of I don't know, like, minor leagues is a grind, working for a small business is a grind. Is there something that naturally translate from one to the other?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just the hustle to make it because you are not wrong that the minor leagues are, a grind. You're, finishing games at 10, 11 o'clock at night. By the time you're showered and on the bus, it's midnight. You got a 14-hour drive ahead of you, and, you're basically getting dropped off at the field the next day and, expected to perform and those kind of things. So there's that, I guess, element of hustle to kind of get out of that
Mhm.
in the baseball world. And I think, when translating that to the business world, it's the hustle to, um, break barriers, whether it's case goals or distribution goals or those kind of things. And, um, I think that's what initially led me to enterprise software sales, right? 'Cause there's a lot of hustle in that.
Yep.
And, when I was fortunate to make the industry switch over to the distilled spirits industry, it's, um, we joke, but I'm a little rock in the middle of the Pacific. How can I grow this beyond that, right? We dominate Hawaii, without our heads getting too big. Like we do dominate Hawaii when it comes to rum and spirits in general for the most part. And um, so the hustle part of me was like, okay, how do I replicate that in California next? How do I do it in Texas? How do I do it in these other markets? And it's just chasing those next layer of goals and those kind of things for me. So I think that's a lot of what I've taken from athletics to the business world.
That's awesome. And now speaking of California, was it recently that you guys signed on with a distributor out here?
No, we've been here since 2015.
Okay.
Is our kind of our first big expansion outside of Hawaii. We were forced to just sign with a new distributor in California because of some of the decisions that RNDC made here to close down.
Yeah.
Um, but we were fortunate that Reyes had been courting us for a while, just checking in here and there, and so when the time came, we took the meetings with them and some of the others, and ultimately decided that they were going to be our best path forward. And um, we're fortunate that they also wanted us because at that point, they basically had the pick of anyone they wanted.
Yeah.
And I think still to this day in California, we're the only standalone rum brand that they have. Obviously, they have other rum brands,
Right.
but I don't think they have any other standalone rum brands. So we're excited about this, and we're going on, I think, 5 to 6 months with them so far. And, the partnership's been great, and
Good.
they're going to help us, like I said, get to the next level of case goals and those kind of things here. So it's been awesome.
Nice. Well, we're getting into our second round here. So I was wondering, Robert, if you can introduce our second pour here.
Sure. So this is our newest bottle that we just put out. This is our Kōloa Cane Fire rum. So again, full 80 proof. It's made in partnership with OK Farms on the Big Island. Um, they are providing the cinnamon for us here. So it's again another product that we spent a lot of time on the R&D side of it to get it right. Right. I go back to that comment of being, a little rock and a little Pacific. We knew that the juice had to be good when we put it in these bottles. Um, so when we were developing this, we were meticulous about getting it right, right? It was good every time we tried it and we went through the stages, but there was just a little bit more fine tuning. And we finally got there late last year.
Okay.
So we introduced it to the market, and we've had a lot of on-premise accounts, bartenders having a lot of fun with it. A lot of them we've seen using this instead of cinnamon syrup or things like that. They up the proof in drinks a little bit, and so it's an elevated version of the other cinnamon spirit out there that everyone kind of thinks of. We've had a lot of success around golf courses, in all honesty, with the little bottle, the 50 mLs of that.
I can see that.
Yeah, but it's really starting to hit the market, taking off in places like Texas. It's doing really well down there. California's starting to pick it up and roll it out here. So we're excited by the market response this early so far.
All right. Well, getting into the nose on this, I definitely am getting that big cinnamon.
Oh yeah.
Um, and there's kind of like a little floral component to it on the back end of the smell. This is kind of like a big red to me
Oh, for sure.
on the cinnamon. And I'm appreciating it because it's very nicely done on the cinnamon. It's not too heavy. It's not, well, I haven't gotten to the sip yet, but no, I'm loving the cinnamon component on this. Now, is this your? I assume you're using your clear rum, and you're macerating and for folks that are listening don't know what macerating is, that's essentially just sticking the whole cinnamon into the spirit and letting that spirit draw out that cinnamon flavor into the spirit. And I'm sorry, the farm you said that you were getting that cinnamon from?
It's called OK Farms, over on the Big Island. Yeah.
Carolyn. That's so cool that you can grow cinnamon out there. I know you guys have a lot of just amazing, fantastic products to draw from and enhance, that wonderful craft spirit that you guys are making. You want to talk a little bit about that and trying to get most of your stuff from at least the Hawaii region, if not Kauai itself?
Yeah, I think when we started developing our flavors for the rums, Hawaii, like you said, Hawaii is rich in these natural resources and things that are able to grow. We're obviously pretty fortunate out there that the temperature doesn't really fluctuate very much. Yeah, every once in a while you'll see snow on one of the volcanoes up there, but realistically, it's somewhere between 65 and 78 pretty much year round. Summer gets a little hot, winter might get to 62. So the the natural resources are abundant out there, and one of the things that we wanted to do, we started Kōloa actually means tall cane in Hawaiian, and we wanted to honor that industry when we started making the rum, right? Kōloa was actually the site of the first commercial sugar plantation that was established back in 1835. So we've always wanted to honor that heritage and partner with as many local people, local companies as we can for these ingredients. So obviously I mentioned OK Farms with the cinnamon. We'll get to the coffee next, but that's Kauai coffee that we're partnering with there. Our chocolate rum is with Lidgate Farms. They're on Kauai. So we're trying to, source as many of these ingredients from Kauai, and if not Kauai, then the Hawaiian Islands as we can. Just because, it's not easy to do business in Hawaii and
Right.
and run a company out there. So as much as we can all support each other, we certainly try to do that.
That's super awesome. And when I was traveling out there, just where your guys' tasting room is, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the town where your tasting room is.
Woohooey.
Lahui, that's right. Okay. It was super cool. Like you said, the oldest sugarcane farm out there. You can kind of see some of the old architectural or I guess artifacts of some of those sugarcane production process. And in Old Town there, you get a really great vibe. I forget what food cart was out there, but we had some amazing burritos. uh, but such a cool vibe in the town there where you have the tasting room and it just kind of seems like it's steeped in that kind of old Hawaii with the sugar cane and everything like that. Do you want to kind of speak to those roots?
Yeah, the Kōloa's sugarcane heritage really, laid the foundation for what we do today as a company. I don't know if many people know, but sugarcane actually came to Hawaii by ancient Polynesian voyagers, right? So you might hear us refer to it as a canoe crop. Came over on canoe, and like I said, the first sugar production operation was there in 1835. So when the founders had the idea for the business, it was, we want to start a distillery.
Mhm.
Um, it's would have been probably pretty tough to grow a bourbon or a whiskey or something like that. Not a
Yeah.
bourbon, but a whiskey out there. And agave actually grows surprisingly well out on the west side of Kauai. But um, they got started. They had some history with rum and things like that. So that's where they wanted to start. And we get asked fairly often, are you guys gonna move into a gin or a vodka or anything like that? And, I think one of the things that we've always said as a company is we want to be the best at rum. We don't want to be good at a few different things.
Right.
So we've stuck true to that. Um, we're just trying to use as many authentic island-inspired flavors, as we can, and, like I mentioned, very fortunate to have partners that we're able to call on. We literally drive up to Lidgate Farms and grab the cacao beans or cacao nibs for our chocolate rum. We drive down the road to Kauai Coffee for their cold brew, the Arabica beans that they make for us. So yeah, I think the history of sugar and sugar cane um, and all of that. It's part of the daily ethos that we have at the distillery, and a fair amount of our workers back there have family ties to the commercial sugar industry. A lot of them lived in those camp houses and things like that that you've seen. So, you get back there and start hearing some of the stories that they have to tell. It's pretty cool. It's, old day Hawaii and those kind of things. So yeah, just trying to honor that every day as much as we can.
That's cool. So let's talk a little bit about production. And I was curious, where do you guys source your sugar cane from?
Yeah, so these days, unfortunately, that there's no more commercial sugar production on Hawaii. So it's still American sugar, generally from East Texas, Louisiana, those kind of areas. So all of our rum is made with pure cane sugar. So we're not using juice, we're not using molasses. We think it just makes that really clean, smooth,
Mhm.
sippable beverage that you're drinking there. So that's where it all starts from.
Nice, nice. And what kind of still are you guys running?
Yeah, we have an old 1,200-gallon copper pot still that is a bit of a hybrid. We actually have a column on top that has 6 plates inside of it. So it all comes off there, really high proof and gives, again, going back to that really clean, smooth, sippable base for everything that we do. Um, we kind of carved out that super premium flavored rum niche all those years ago, and there wasn't really anyone else, if there actually was anyone else doing what we are doing or were doing back then, and just kind of kept going with that. And yeah, our lead distiller is um, very very good at managing that and doing what he does, and making our rums for us.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this is another sneaky, sneaky good spirit here. The cinnamon 100% masks really any alcohol to
Yeah.
me.
Mhm.
And so if you're looking for especially like a mixture of cinnamon and you're looking at you mentioned another big whiskey flavored spirit, this absolutely blows that away. And to know it's made with local, I mean, not necessarily local to you, but still small farmer for the cane,
Yeah.
and then also local spirit or local ingredients with the cinnamon. Um, amazing, amazing work you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, really enjoying it. Um, well, I want to take a little break right now for a word from our sponsor for this episode, and then we'll be right back with Robert Raymer of Kaloa Distillery out of Kauai.
We talk a lot about innovation out here in the West, and nobody embodies that quite like Charbet Distillery. Based in Northern California, the Karakashevich family brings 13 generations of distilling heritage to every single bottle. They are true pioneers distilling beer into world class whiskey and crafting brandies that set the standard. If you want to taste history that pushes the boundaries of flavor, you need Charbet on your shelf. Visit charbet.com to explore their legendary lineup. That's CHARBAY.com. Taste the legacy.
And we're back. All right. Well,
I'm 100% gonna cut you off
you are.
because I've worked for a lot of different manufacturers and all sorts of like consumer packaged goods industries. And from me, there's always been a little bit extra when we are distributing to Hawaii. You're on the other side of that. So, what is it like being, like you said, from that small little rock in the middle of the ocean, trying to get a foothold here on the mainland and getting distribution out here? What's that like for you guys?
Yeah. The other joke that we love to make is we're not really a rum company. We're basically a logistics company that happens to make rum. Yeah, look, it's not easy. There's a lot of things that are, working against us. We have to obviously ship input ingredients in from the mainland, and it's all by boat, because of the volumes and those things that we're doing. Glass bottles and caps and capsules and, all the things that you wouldn't really think about.
Yeah, you don't make any of that stuff there, right?
No. Yeah. So that's all got to obviously get to us. Then we, make our rum, get it bottled. For us, we barge it from Kauai to Honolulu. Then from Honolulu, then it's on a ship to the West Coast. Some of you may or may not know there's a little thing called the Jones Act, that is also, I would say to an extent working against us, right? All of our product has to be sent from, Hawaii to the West Coast of California on an American flag ship. That's just an old ancient law that hopefully gets revisited at some point. So it's not easy, but fortunately, our team in the back, our shipping team and inventory team, over the last, gosh, I guess going on 17 years now, have that down to a pretty darn good science. And all of our shipping partners are great. We all work very well together. Everyone understands uh, what's going on, what needs to happen. But yeah, no, it's not easy. But with our distributors, we have good communication and have given them expected timelines on, when they put a purchase order in, how long it's going to take to get to their dock, within a day or two. And most of them are really good at respecting that and, looking at inventory levels and those kind of things to make sure there aren't any issues. Of course, there's hiccups every once in a while. It's going to be shipping things thousands of miles across the ocean. But we handle them. Like I said, we've been doing it almost 17 years now, so we got a pretty good handle on getting things where it needs to go. Um, over the okay, yeah, from Kauai to wherever it needs to go, all the way down to Florida if we need to. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I really appreciate like the clean style of the just, your base clear rum. And, I was really interested, you mentioned that you guys kind of focus on the flavor styled of rum, but I also noticed you guys do have some aged products. And so I just kind of want to get into those aged rums that you guys have going on and maybe some of the specs on those. I noticed you have like a 5-year-old rum. Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about that, Robert?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't realize that was gonna be such a problem.
It looked beautiful at the start, and then it just started.
We had angelic rays coming in around too.
Um, yeah. So the aged drums, we have a ready for the market aged rum that we do. We call it like 12 barrel select. So we've taken that. That's down at 92 proof. But we have been aging rum. I think our oldest barrels back in the distillery have just hit 10 years. Maybe some are getting close to 11.
Awesome.
Those are kind of our test barrels, right? We're going to see how long, where if we can find it, does that kind of flavor profile drop off? We're obviously in a unique situation in Hawaii where going back to the temperature, it doesn't fluctuate very much. So the barrels aren't contracting and expanding a ton. They're
Yeah.
generally pretty expanded. So it changes the flavor of the rum. And we have heard from experts or people like that that has say, it drinks older than it actually is.
Okay.
But obviously in the United States, we have labeling laws and those kind of things. So, I can't say my 5-year drinks like a 7-year, or at least put it on a label,
Right.
But yeah, so we have a few different um, releases out. We have a 7-year single barrel that we offer exclusively in our tasting room. So that's actually a cask strength. So we've had some of those anywhere from 114 to 118-ish proof there. So just some different unique offerings. Yeah, see, you got to come back.
Yeah, gotta come back out or at least have you back on. And, we don't have any aged spirits today. Maybe we need to do a revisit where we do an aged spirit lineup for sure. That would be a fun revisit with you, Robert, for sure. Yeah, a lot of that sounded really tasty.
Yeah, and we've also been fortunate to use those aged rums in some special releases. We did one commemorating one of the Raiders Super Bowl wins last year, when it was an anniversary of them winning the Super Bowl.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pat.
University of Hawaii men's volleyball, they were back-to-back national champions. So we put out a release with them. We were fortunate to partner with Purdue Athletics and Purdue for Life Foundation. We did a release for them. We've started something called what we're calling our Heritage Series. So our first release of that was with Iolani Palace. So we were able to special label that with our rum, sell it, and then make a donation based on the sales of that back to the Friends of Iolani Palace. So yeah, a lot of fun things that we're able to do with the rums, and it goes back to just kind of giving back to the island and things like that where we can.
Uh,
Awesome.
For you and sales and marketing wise, I mean, I don't want to say these are purely mixtures, but flavored rums, typically that's what they're used for. The aged rums are usually more sippers and everything. How is it with that kind of transition from focusing on, again, you can sip these for sure, but focusing on primarily the flavored rums to those aged sippers?
Yeah, so we're you know, intentional about where we go and offer the aged
Hmm.
rums, right? We're fortunate to um have done barrel programs with a few different accounts. Most of them obviously in Hawaii, but
Hmm.
they're available for barrel picks. We did one out in Texas, and I think we did one in Illinois as well. So yeah, we're very intentional about where it goes, right? Generally high end whiskey bars, those kind of things, and we have a top notch sales team, scattered around the mainland U.S. and then of course in Hawaii, and they're all industry veterans, so they know when to pull that out and when to
Yeah.
try to sell it, and when the flavors and those kind of things make sense. So yeah, it's certainly a switch in the brain that needs to be flipped when you're talking about it, and who you're talking to and those kind of things. But like I said, our team has been doing it for a while now, and they're all industry veterans, so they know they do a darn good job of flipping that switch and making that differentiation for us.
So are you guys sourcing used bourbon barrels for that mostly?
We are, yeah. So we're using Heaven Hill barrels.
Oh yeah, cool.
We have been since the start. They're obviously known for consistency and what you're getting out of those barrels. So yeah, we've been using those for, like I said, almost 11 years now, and we're adding 12 barrels at a time, basically a few different times a year. So we're increasing that aged rum stock, year after year, and we have a good spacing on it. So, if we choose to really continue with the 5-year, if, we figure the 7 years may be better, we're well positioned to, continue to release that and not have, out of stocks or gaps or anything along those lines.
Now, you mentioned you did private barrels with, I believe you said Purdue and then also Indiana. Is that your connection, or is that just kind of where there's a good popularity of your various spirits?
Yeah, the Purdue one was, of course, a connection, through myself,
Yep.
and they for years the Purdue for Life Foundation has been doing yearly wine releases with another alumni who's a winemaker from Kokomo Winery. And I think someone in the Purdue for Life office decided that, it's hey, the wine is going great. Let's expand this to, a spirit one too. So there was a bourbon, another alumni who runs a bourbon distillery, Log Still. So they did their release. We released a rum. I think there was a vodka that was also released or was about to be released. So they've kind of expanded it there. So they reached out to us interested in it. But obviously because of my connection
Yeah.
and family connection there, is how they had the contact information and everything.
That's awesome to give back to the local community and then also to your past lives.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Designing that and getting to put my grandfather and grandmother's signatures on the front of it and their class and all those kind of things.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah, pretty cool connection there.
Nice. On your the age spirit side of things, have you kind of found that for your own personal palate, you kind of fall more on that 5-year side of things, or are you starting to like those older rums that are kind of picking up that age and the barrel interaction?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate to say that I get to be part of the sampling crew as we pull these samples. And obviously 5-year, very, very good. 7-year, really nice. But, once we've just got to sample the stuff that got to 10 years and um, it's really good. It's really good. It's so smooth. For something that came out, I think that one came out at one we sampled was maybe 114, 116, somewhere in there. Wasn't just like, ow, that burns. It was sophisticated. It was, you know, yeah, it was really good.
I can imagine when you're leading with the clear spirit being that clean to start with, and we were just like burying our noses in the glasses there. You're not getting that burn. I can imagine just putting that age on it. You're just adding to that smoothness and just building on that. So, oh man, you got me intrigued there. Definitely gonna have to check that out for sure.
And speaking of stuff you like, you said this last pour that we're gonna do today was your favorite, right?
Yeah.
You want to pour that up, Dan, and then you want to introduce that to us?
Sure. So this is our coffee. So it's a collaboration with, I think I mentioned Kauai Coffee. So they are, many people don't know, they're actually by acreage the largest coffee growers in the U.S.
Oh wow.
So we partnered with them for our coffee rum here, a little bit lower on the proof, not a full 80. I think it's 68, I think it is. So it's a little bit lower, but still higher proof than most of the stuff you'll see out there. We're very fortunate that they have a special dark roast Arabica bean that they roast for us. I think one of the first couple of times that we did this, we attempted to um, we didn't cold brew it. We did it as hot, and smelled amazing back there, but we just didn't quite, mix exactly how we wanted. It would have been fine, but it wasn't, to the standards that we wanted. So we have actually had them do it in a cold brew for us. So then we add, our gold rum to it. The gold has a little bit of the caramelized sugar in there, which just rounds off the coffee because obviously we all know coffee's a little bit bitter. Um, but it's really, really good. I mean,
Yeah.
the resurgence of espresso martinis and those kind of things, among other things. It's good any time of the day.
Yeah, I gotta say, we poured this up, and even before I even pulled the glass close to me, I could smell that coffee. I handed our producer his sample. He took a taste and immediately handed me the glass back to put more in there. I don't know if you saw that or not, but that is a fantastic sign. So kudos on that. It smells amazing.
I know. It's almost as if I don't even need to lift the glass to my nose. You get that wonderful coffee aroma just enveloping the air. I wish our listeners had scratch and smell television right now because, no, honestly, when you nose this, you just get transported almost as if you have a cup of rich, amazing coffee in your glass here. So the nose on this, I'm pretty much well digging this.
Yeah, I'm blown away. I'm not a coffee drinker. I drink the Starbucks stuff that's full of sugar and caramel and anything to not taste the coffee. But with this, the sweetness of that rum really mellows out the bitterness of the coffee, and this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, when I taste this, this is everything you want in a cup of coffee right here, condensed in the glass. You get that wonderful caramel note. You get that kind of smokiness off of like a dark roast coffee. Uh, yeah, this is fantastic. I like that play between the sweet and the bitter and the smokiness kind of, and I say smokiness, it's not like it actually has a smoky character, but it's kind of more of a note as you would expect in a cup of coffee. But this is fantastic. It's very desserty. I think this is not without mentioning the name, the main player that does a coffee liqueur. This is much more sophisticated than that. Yeah. Yeah. This could play well as honestly just like a dessert pour. I could imagine this goes great
for
with
sure.
like a chocolate lava cake or something like that as just like a nice kind of side dessert pour. Or like you mentioned, espresso martinis seem to be very hot. And all its variations too. Seems like there's a lot of plays on the espresso martini. So, yeah, this one's fun for sure.
Yeah. I don't drink coffee, but I'll drink this. Um,
I didn't either. Don't know how I made it through college without really drinking coffee. So I gotta give a shout out to my wife for turning me into a coffee person once I got home and finished baseball and, you know, was back home with her and, going on dates and those kind of things. And she's like, "Oh, I got a coffee spot that I need to show you here in the Bay Area and everything." And now we pretty much visit Phil's Coffee every Saturday. So shout out to her for turning me on to coffee.
Now, does this have any added chocolate component to it? Because I'm getting a lot of chocolate on it as well. Okay, that just must be
It's just the roast, the bean that Kauai Coffee has for us. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome, man.
they're doing a good job for their coffee then. Like I said, I'm not a coffee drinker. This is fantastic.
Well, and I thought it was cool, like before I poured this, I had to do like a tip on the bottle. There's some really good I mean, you hear the word sediment, maybe that doesn't sound so sexy, but I think it's great for this because you're getting a lot of those really awesome island ingredients in the bottle. Yeah, I did wonder if you guys had like a chocolate additive in there because it is so delicious on those sweet, but chocolate, coffee, caramel smokiness. Hawaii is known for its coffee for sure, and it's definitely highlighted in this glass for sure.
Yeah, and what's really nice is you go back to those espresso martinis is because it's that dark roast, because it's a cold brew, it actually has a little bit of like caffeine in there, and so you don't necessarily need to pull a full espresso shot. And when you shake it, you get that really nice, I guess, crema on top that you see on the espresso martinis, right? So you don't actually have to add anything. So you shake that up pretty good and strain it out into a martini glass and everything, and it's right there for you already. So it's we found a lot of success in general, but on-premise places that might not necessarily have an espresso machine or things like that have really liked that for presentation, because we know that everyone says Instagram sees it first. So, they're taking their pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
It creates a really nice cocktail as well.
And so it does have a little bit of caffeine to it.
Yeah, a little bit just because of it is a cold brew coffee that's in there. It's not, flavor or anything like that.
That's great. I'll have it before work.
No, yeah, I could definitely see that added to a nice cup of coffee. Maybe do like some bourbon cream with it or something like that.
Yeah.
That's gonna toot my horn right now.
Maybe on the weekends, not Monday through Friday, I guess.
Yeah, no. Waking up on the weekends, you have one of those slow mornings
Yeah.
where you're not doing too much. In fact, I had one of those this morning where kicking back on the couch, looking out the window. Yeah, no, this plays to that moment for sure.
So this is kind of the point on the podcast where we usually talk about things that are coming up for you guys. So I know you mentioned that was it Kauai
Cane fire.
Cane Fire is a relatively new release for you guys. Do you have anything else that is either brand spanking new or coming up on the horizon that you can talk about?
Yeah, so I think the other brand spanking new one that we released late last year was a sweet tea RTD. So I don't know if many of the listeners would know, but Disneyland just actually spent a long time refurbishing and redoing what was Splash Mountain. It's now Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So our coffee rum has been in Club 33 for a number of years now, and our Pineapple Passion is served over at California Adventure, right outside of was it Paradise Pier, I think. So they actually came to us when they were in the process of redoing and reopening Tiana's Bayou Adventure and said, "Hey, we would like something." I think they finally realized that, hey, we can sell alcohol outside of Club 33 and
Yeah.
make a few more dollars. And they asked us if we would develop, a sweet tea, an alcoholic sweet tea, for them. And so we developed both a raspberry and a peach, and they've chosen the I think it's the peach sweet tea for the Blue Bayou restaurant. And we were fortunate that they said, feel free to sell it anywhere else you want to. So we're rolling that out into the markets. And being a California kid, I was obviously never a sweet tea drinker. I got out to the Midwest of Purdue and started to see people loved it. And
Yeah.
and I still don't drink sweet tea, but man, on a nice hot summer day, a glass of our peach sweet tea is, boy, it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. And, we're always doing, R&D, on different projects. And, there comes a time we have, I think, 7 or 8 different rums now. And, it's always the question of, do we need to add another one to the portfolio? Is it going to cannibalize sales? So there's a lot, that goes into that. But we're always developing things, right? We have people pitch us projects and ideas all the time of things that they want to do. So I think we're averaging a new product every 18 months or so right now. So wouldn't be surprised if when we do the aged version of this podcast, a year from now or so, whenever it might be, that I have a different answer on something in the pipeline. But yeah, we're always developing and messing with things, and but nothing imminent to be released right now.
Now, I got a question for you. So I am new-ish to RTDs. I always looked down on them in the past, but I've gotten a chance through this podcast and through some other avenues, gotten a chance to try some really good ones. So I know you guys are in the RTD space. What would you say your top 2 or 3, personally, your top 2 or 3 favorite RTDs that you guys make are?
Yeah, by far, it's my personal favorite is our Pineapple Passion. It just has all the flavors that you think of when you kind of think of Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know, passion, orange, guava, those kind of flavors in there. Um, I'd say it's probably a tie between rum punch and sweet tea, and
Okay.
just because sweet tea is so new for me for that second one. Um, the rum punch is also extremely good, but the sweet tea might overtake it this year. We'll see. We'll see how the summer goes. But yeah, probably those two. My pineapple passion by far
Okay.
is my favorite one. So if you can, find a bottle of it, that you can snag, I certainly recommend you try it.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know I like that one. Like I already mentioned when I was headed out there, I think you guys chose a great one to, be the introduction to people as they're headed out to the island for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, yeah, you guys are doing some really great stuff. I'm excited, just to hear about those relationships with farmers doing cinnamon, the Lidgate Farms doing the cacao. I wish I could have made that tour as well. That chocolate sounds amazing, and then you just all those tropical fruits. I mean, when we were out there, there's all those roadside fruit stands and stuff like that, stuff that we don't get out here on the mainland. So we were literally gorging ourselves out on the beach, just with all that fantastic pineapple, coconut, the cacao beans and stuff that are fun to eat raw and stuff like that. Yeah, so you guys have so much to pull on from, and I'm really excited to hear that with your aged spirits as well. You already have like a 5-year product, and you're pushing into that like double-digit 10-year realm. That's huge. That's huge. That's super exciting. That definitely tickles the fancy for sure. And like we said, we'll have to do a revisit because yeah, it's like these are great. I think you can sip them straight up.
For sure.
And I can't wait, especially when summertime rolls around, to make some fantastic cocktails with these here. And like I said, this one is kind of, I'd say, a little more suited to winter as well. A nice warming dessert with one of these, or like we mentioned, the coffee. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. We see a good uptick in the cold weather states during the holidays of our coffee rum. People are, man, I wish I was back in Hawaii. So it's just the closest thing that can get them there.
Yep, for sure.
And I would, yeah, and again, I'm going to emphasize these first two, the coconut and that cinnamon flavor one. So sneaky good that they're going to be dangerous mixed in cocktails and 100% sippable. Um, so I got to ask, do you have anything that you want to kind of leave our listeners and our viewers with? Any closing thoughts from your end?
Yeah, rum is more than rum and coke, right? It
Yeah.
it, it is a sophisticated spirit, and I think people are starting to come around to it, and
Yeah.
there's some other people obviously in the space that are doing great things, and it's exciting to see. I was just looking, I'm looking at my second screen here,
Oh,
but there was what was it? It was like 7 of the 40 best-selling cocktails in the world are rum-based, which means that's what, 18% of the top
yeah.
40 cocktails versus 6% of spirits volume. So people drink rum. They might not realize it, but they drink rum, and so the more education we can do and let people know that, hey, this is a refined spirit, and there's a lot. Come on over and try it. You'll be pleasantly surprised. We hear it daily in the tasting room. People will come to do the tasting, and, I'm not really a rum drinker. And by the end of it, wow, it's really good. Where can I get that?
Sure.
So expand your horizons. Please try rums. Or please try our rums, but other rums as well. And
Yeah.
what they say, rising tides raise all boats. So
Yeah, for sure.
the more we can get it out there, the better. And there's some other exciting projects in Hawaii that people are doing too. So don't forget about us. We're just like I said, a little rock in the Pacific, but we're doing some big things out here.
Yeah, you sure are.
Yeah, you guys have a lot for everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they're not into the aged spirits. Of course, these are great options for, like we mentioned, the mixed cocktails. It seems like you kind of, you got some people that'll play both sides for sure, like us. We'll do cocktails. Certainly, we love the aged spirits and stuff. But even for, as you mentioned, someone's like, I'm not really a rum drinker. Maybe I'm just a whiskey drinker. I've noticed some of those higher age statements on the rums can really play to some of those same notes
Yep.
for folks that love the whiskey and stuff like that. So yeah, you guys have an amazing spread just across the board. I think you play to kind of everyone's palate out there. So I think we've wetted people's whistles here over the episode. So definitely want to make sure, where can people find your products?
Yeah, the easiest thing to do would obviously be visit our website, and then we have a product locator there. But nationwide, we're in Total Wine,
Okay.
nationwide, California, obviously a lot of places here. But yeah, visit the website. We have a product locator. It's directly tied to our depletion data, so it's up to date. You'll know where it is, and I think we're in 32 states right now, and some of the control states were special order and those kind of things. And if it's not available in your state, we have enough partners that will ship it to you.
Nice.
So yeah, just check out our website, KōloaRum.com, and you'll be able to either locate it or have it shipped to you.
Nice. And you guys are on Instagram. People can find you there.
We are. Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, everything's just at Kōloa Rum, KOLOARUM. That's us there. And, we're post a lot of rum pictures and recipes and ideas. And, like I said, we have two really, really good mixologists on the staff that, we try to get as many recipes and those kind of things out there as we can on a daily, weekly basis. So follow along for the journey.
Yeah, definitely. People are headed out to the island for sure. Go out the highway, take a left down the tree tunnel, and you'll find yourself in Old Town. And yeah, a lot of great things to explore out there for sure. So we're super excited, and we really want to thank you for your generosity, Robert, sending this. We had a great time with you for sure. A lot of great flavors of the island to explore, and we look forward. We'll definitely make some cocktails with this, and definitely represent on Instagram for you guys for sure. So thank you so much for your time, Robert. We really appreciate you and all you're doing for rum, for Hawaii, and all that. We're super excited that you're our first Hawaiian distillery that we've had on Distilling the West. So you guys are representing Hawaii for sure. We'll put a pin down in Kauai for you guys on our little pin map that we got going. So way to represent the island for sure.
Yeah, fantastic spirits. You guys are doing great work over there.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you both having. I wish I had a cup with me. No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, glad to be representing for Hawaii for now, and yeah, can't wait to do it again with the age piece in a few months or a year or so. Let's do it.
That'd be a lot of
Sounds
fun,
good.
Robert. Thank you so much, man. Cheers to you.